Hello, everyone. My name is Billy Odegaard, and I'm here to talk to you today, the last week of our speeches, about something that I thought long and hard about what I wanted to talk to you about for the last week. And I finally decided that I wanted to talk to you about being an example. Uh, being an example in your everyday life, being an example in everything that you do, your job, your family, with your friends, with everyone you come in contact with, and what being the example can do as far as trying to be a leader. Like I said, also at work, home, your job, friends. So be the example. So what is the example? So on an article that I recently read, um, it said that it talked about leadership. What leadership was mostly towards youth and the up and coming generations. But in this article, it said that the first thing about being a leader, being a good leader, I should say, is you start by setting the example. If you are a leader, whether it's of a whole nation or whether it's of a few people or of a family, um, being being the example to them is how what they look up to, is what they know you by, is what they think is per se maybe right or wrong in their eyes based on what you do. And as a leader, what you do, follow your people will follow as well. Like I said, whether that's your kids, if you're a military member, your higher ranking people, they will. Your lower ranking looks up to you on what they should do if they have questions on what's, per se, like I said, right and wrong in the eyes of where you're at. And so as I thought about what that meant is what setting an example as a leader, I want to be a leader. Everywhere I go, and I want to, in my workplace especially, I like to think that if I set a good example, others will follow. You can change the dynamic of your workplace or the dynamic of a family or a friendship by the example that you show. If you do bad things, other people are going to see that, and they're going to think that that's who you are or what you want to be, and then people can follow, especially people who may be looking for someone to follow. So growing up, I always looked up to the older people to know what to do or know how I should act, what was cool, what was in. And as I grew and as I grew older, I became that older person. Other people looked at me and they'd ask me questions. Why do you do this? Why, even to the point of like, why do you do your hair that way, or why do you wear those clothes, or why do you do what you do? And it's funny because even times I would think that what I was doing was just normal everyday living. People were actually watching me, and especially being an older sibling, out of two, a younger sister and a younger brother. Growing up, my little brother would watch and do what I did, and so if I did something I shouldn't, here I found my brother doing the same thing, and then could get in trouble. And really, it was come back to my fault because as the older brother, older sibling, I should set an example for them to look up to know what's right or what's wrong or what we should or should not do. And that's a big responsibility, and it's kind of an unspoken responsibility that we don't really have a choice on. We don't get a choice of who looks up to us or who thinks that we're their hero, or as you get older, people want to know what to do. They don't know, and so some people, like I said, are looking for someone to lead them. And even if you don't want to be a leader, even if you're not like leadership, that's not for me. Being a leader, that's not for me, and that's great. It's not for everybody, but what's funny is being a leader is not something you always get to choose. Sometimes it falls in your lap, or sometimes people are following you. You may not even know it. So the smallest thing you do can affect a lot of people. And I think about, here the elections are coming up, and to think about, I mean, that's a little bit of the extreme side of a leadership. But 30 years ago, they may have never known that that would have been their position, that that's what they would have done, is be president of the United States of America. And I think about what comes with that. I'm a fan of all the comic books and superhero movies, and I think of like Spider-Man with great power comes great responsibility, and that goes from the highest extreme to the lowest extreme. And I know it's a little funny, but I really think that it has a lot of truth to it, a lot of truth. And uh, what I kind of want to lead into now is, I'm very big on what my last name means to me. Not the name itself, but what people think of it. So when they hear my name, what do they think? They think good things, bad things. Do they not know about me? Do they not know, how I would act in certain situations? And so setting the example and being a leader is something that when people hear my name, especially my last name, I want them to know that, oh yeah, he's a good man, or he does good, with this way, or he's a good leader, or not the other way on the other side where it could be, oh man, he makes horrible choices, or man, he's this, or he's horrible, he's a bad person, he doesn't care about others. He doesn't have any sense of, morals, you should say. I don't want people to think that way of me. So as I live each day, I try to be a good example to those around me. Try to always think that if someone's watching me, or even for myself, to know that I'm going to be the best that I can be, and for those around me, for my family, for anybody who's looking up to me, or if not, at least myself, and know that everything I do each and every day, whether I'm at work or home, out having a good time, sports, if you're in a leadership position, as especially military, as you gain rank and you take soldiers underneath of you, those guys look up to you, and when they hear your name, they want to be the person that says, "Oh man, not Billy Odegaard. I don't want to deal with him. He's horrible." Or they say, "Oh yeah, I'm all for him. Yeah, let's do it. He's good." I'm not saying we're all perfect. We all make mistakes, and we all need to take responsibility for those mistakes and learn from them, and grow from them. But I really think that the biggest thing about being a good leader and having good leadership skills is by setting the example. And I don't know if you got to play sports growing up, but I did. And every coach I had, says you can be the best player on the whole team, but you're not going to lead the team. You're not going to be one of the leaders of the team if you don't act like it. Your skills only go so far. It's your attitude. It's how you act. In good and bad situations, it's not just good. Anybody can be happy and be the good person when everything's going great. But in life, it doesn't go that way. There's always times where things can happen where it sets you back or sets you down. You feel like you just can't go no more. And it's in those times that truly make a leader. That your choices and the way you act and then how you react and your example is what makes you a true leader, a good person, a good man, or a good woman. So I want to ask each and every one of you if this is our last week, and when you read this or look at this, I want you to know that as you go about your daily life, same as I do every day, think about how you can be an example to those around you. Maybe how you can change the way you act each and every day. Like I said, especially in the bad situations, the bad times. Maybe you're struggling at work, maybe you're struggling at home. Making bills meet, or maybe some things just going on in your life. You don't tell nobody. You just deal with them inside. I want to say that everybody can be an example, and everybody can be a leader in some way, form, or fashion. So, I ask that you be the example. Make the changes that you need, make the changes that we all need. I think it's what this country needs is a change, and it needs people who will stand up, who in the good times and the bad, for what they believe in, and for how who they are, for their last name, for who they want to be, and who they want others to see them. Like I said, in the good times, anybody can see you and think everything's great. Oh, that's a good guy right there, man. It's the tough times, the bad times that can decide, who you really are, the person that who you are inside. And so as I close this speech, I just want to let you know that I want you to be an example. I want you to keep those around you always looking for more. Always thinking, man, well, what will he do next? It's great, man. He's great with this, or he's great with that. I just ask you to be the example, be a leader, whatever you may do. And you never know who may be watching, may be learning from you. So always remember that there's always going to be somebody watching and always learning from you. So thank you for listening. Thank you for this wonderful class. I thank each and every one of you guys for listening to this speech. So thanks. Have a great day.